Hi, this is Sherry Veronica. Now, this article found in your e-paper Barbados today talks about youth unrest, and this guy, let me see his name, Saul Leacock, is talking about the fact that schools are inadequate to tackle the rising youth violence. I think people like him, I think people like Saul Leacock, I think people like him are like a special kind of like silly. And I'm using the word silly in a nice way because I mean worse. But it's almost as though people like him, like him, he's the president, former president of the Barbados Association of Guidance Counselors. He, he should be more radical in his speech. And to say that the program is weak, it says nothing to Barbadians. When you are talking to a Barbadian, you need to get in real life. You need to get in a state that you jerk them. You have to jerk them into some sort of reality because they don't see past their noses, okay? Now, women are being impregnated by males they hardly know, okay? They're having children and they hardly know the father of the child. The child's father hasn't committed to 20-25 years of raising a child. Once you have a child, it's like 20 to 25 year commitment. And no one in their right mind go into a 25-year commitment just off the cuff, just because you wanted to have, a climax. You wanted to just like release. No one goes into that sort of commitment for a few seconds or a minute or two of pleasure. Okay? So when he's talking, he has to really, really like beat the drums. He has to beat on the drums and he has to call women what they are. He has to tell you what you really are when you are pushing out these children into poverty. When the schools are divided, this segregation in the school system, he has to talk about that. I see one person talked about tearing down Harrison College because it reminds him of colonial times. You mean now? Now you're talking about that? He needs to talk about your learned folk that go up to the UK and come back with a sir, a Queen's Council, a King Council, whatever, come back with their titles. You need to talk about all the traitors that are in the top tier of your government or people that you so-called respect. You need to talk about them. Talk about Michael Ashley and he cannot exist without having the colonial cloak hugging him. He needs it. Talk about that. Talk about the slaves that totally admire and totally respect the fact that they were held in slavery. Talk about that. Talk about the fact that Barbadians loved slavery and they walked up. Now they're walking up now with the music and the things they do and the Mother Sallies and the eating of pudding and sauce, the fact that they had to eat the scraps during slavery, how comfortable they are still in the 21st century. That's what he needs to talk about, how comfortable Barbadians are. Talk about if anything were to happen in this world, anything, the first people they will come back for to rebuild it are Black people. Talk about that. Talk about that. Okay? Counselor or whoever you are, Saul Leacock, talk about that. You need to come out comprehension. You cannot be just standing there and trying to use certain words and trying to talk within some sort of parameter so you don't insult. You have to insult them. You have to insult them. You have to come out like you're fighting a war when you're dealing with Bajans, because they're molded in that place they are in. They're drinking the water. They're inhaling each other's breath. They are comfortable, and you need to tell them that. They are comfortable in slavery, and it's going to come back for them. You need to say that to Barbadians. It's going to come back for them. So when students are acting up in schools, and it's directly related to the homes they're born into, the mothers they came from, you need to sort that out. You need to talk about that. So in St. Lucie, they were saying that the student like struck the teacher and threatened the teacher, and happened more than once or whatever. Things are not going to get better. Things are not going to get better, because whereas you don't talk about slavery, whereas you don't talk about your past, they know it. They are coming back for you. Okay? They are coming back for you. They know where you should be. They know where you should be. They're going to put you in your place, and they have put you in your place. And some of you step out and go and take their titles. Some of you step out and go and live underneath them. Some of you will say, that's my queen, that's my king, that's my prince. They know they got your head. Do you know what it is for someone to have your head, to understand how you think, and to direct your thoughts? You were created, and that's what you, Saul Leacock, you need to talk about Barbadians as a different species. You need to say to Barbadians, you are actually a different species of human. You are molded by a slave master to be what you are. You need to tell them that. You're afraid? You're afraid, Saul? So you're afraid that your name is going to turn from Saul to Paul or whatever? You're going to be blinded by something? No, you need to tell them that they were created, and chances are they're not being told, because it will never be written in a history book. So you have to figure it out for yourself, that they are a different species. They were created. You need to look Barbados and Barbadians. Get on TV. Go and get on TV and look that cameraman. Look straight at the camera and say, Barbadians were created by the white man. They are a different species of people. They do not know who they are. They do not want to know who they are. They do not want to study the history of what brought them forward to this point. They don't want to study it. They don't want to understand where they came from, so they will never know where they should be or where they're going, because they were created for that purpose. They were created to be blind. They were created to be oblivious. They were created to be comfortable in slavery. That's why it's so easy. Go ahead, Saul. Go ahead and tell them that's why it is so easy for a Barbadian female to have children, and all the men are different fathers. Go ahead and tell them it stems from the orgies in the barns. Tell them. It's so easy for Barbadians to want their children to go to Harrison or Queen's College or whatever, because the slaves built those structures and they love slavery. There was a time that those schools were only for the white slave owner children, and Barbadians just love to be right underneath their slave masters. Tell Barbadians that the best of the slaves were bought and went off to other islands, and the weak, the sick, the ones who didn't have much skills, those are the ones that remained in Barbados. And because they can say they can read, and because they say they can write, that they're not bright, Tell them, Saul. Tell Barbadians that they're not right. And they will look at America, for instance, or look at another country and talk trash about that country, yet Barbadians have not sent anyone in space. Barbadians have not done anything that the world needs to buy. There's nothing that Barbadians are technicians. All they're going to do is work for the people who create systems. That's all they will ever do, is be an employee. Okay, an employee. And if they do anything, they have to leave Barbados to accomplish that goal. And when you leave Barbados to accomplish a goal, you still have to be that slave, because you have to bow down. You're going to have to bow down to whatever entity, whatever club, whatever program that you're in outside of Barbados. You still have to bow down and kiss that ring and respect that master. You still have to do it. Can't get away from it. You should tell Barbadians that it's not going to get better. You should tell Barbadians with the apartheid education system, it's not going to get better. You should tell Barbadians with women doing what they're doing, it's not going to get better. You should tell Barbadians that with men doing, the males in Barbados doing what they're doing, and the proclivities and the fact that children are not safe in Barbados. Tell them. Don't stand up there and distill it. This is a distillation of really what is happening in Barbados. Things are not going to get better. Things are not going to get better in Barbados unless Barbadians know who they are. They have to know who they are, and it's going to shock them. They're going to become incensed by it, but they should know. They should know that they are a new species of humanoid, that they're probably that a subspecies of what was out of Africa. What came out of Africa is no longer in Barbados. What they took, the people that they took from Africa and came to Barbados and were broken, there's a new sort of African, like a subspecies from what originated in Africa. You should tell them that, Saul. Paul. Tell them. Stop being that coward. You're on your way out. You look an elderly person. Tell them before you go. Okay? This is Sherry Veronica.
Help me spread the word about Naked Departure via social media. Subscribe and share to show support and love for our channels.